Imagine a community built on faith, trust, and the unwavering belief in a spiritual leader. Now imagine discovering that this man, the one preaching purity and righteousness, has been hiding some of the darkest secrets imaginable. Today, we're diving into a practice of what's not preached, a psychological and moral tragedy that explores manipulation, deception, and how power can corrupt even those who appear holy. The Broken Foundation. The story centers around Julia, a teenage girl raised in a home shadowed by trauma. Her mother, Isabella, survived a horrific past and found emotional refuge in Pastor Stephen Whitefield, a widowed church leader admired by the community. Stephen seemed compassionate, devoted, trustworthy. But behind closed doors, his character was very different. Julia begins to sense that something is deeply wrong, both in her family and in the pastor she's expected to admire. That sense of unease grows when she becomes the target of Stephen's manipulation, slowly drawing her into a secret relationship she never wanted and never fully understood. Manipulation and control. Over the next 2 years, Stephen emotionally isolates Julia, controlling her through fear, guilt, and the twisted abuse of his spiritual authority. Julia's mental state deteriorates, and she begins losing touch with her friends, including her closest childhood companion, Miguel. Miguel soon senses something is terribly wrong. He investigates, hoping to protect Julia, and what he discovers changes the story forever. The discovery. Miguel secretly follows Stephen and witnesses him with another young woman, a girl who resembles Julia and appears emotionally dependent on the pastor. He records evidence, hoping to confront Julia and save her from Stephen's abuse. But when Miguel shows her the truth, Julia is torn apart, emotionally trapped between loyalty, fear, and the reality she has been denying. Her reaction sets off a chain of events that spirals completely out of control. The false accusation. Stephen, desperate to protect himself and maintain his image, convinces Julia to accuse Miguel of a crime he did not commit. Julia, overwhelmed and manipulated, gives in. The trial is swift, the community is horrified, and Miguel, who never fights back, is sentenced to 20 years in prison. This becomes the turning point for Julia. The guilt begins to consume her. The person who cared most about her is now behind bars because of her lie. Consequences and revelation. Months pass. Julia, now pregnant with Stephen's child, feels abandoned, ashamed, and emotionally broken. Stephen distances himself from her in public, protecting only his reputation. During one walk in the forest, Julia meets a girl named Gwen, the same girl Miguel had caught Stephen with. Gwen reveals the horrifying truth. Stephen has a pattern. He targets vulnerable young girls, manipulates them, controls them, and discards them. Her story mirrors Julia's, but with even more heartbreaking consequences. The two girls, once strangers, bond over shared trauma and make a vow to finally bring the truth to light. Toward justice. Julia and Gwen decide they must expose Stephen, but to do that, Julia must do the hardest thing of all: confess her lie, face Miguel, face her mother, and the community she once misled. Together, the two girls plan to gather evidence, confront Miguel in prison, and rebuild the case, this time against the true predator. Their alliance marks a shift from victims to survivors, and from silence to justice. themes, and message. A practice of what's not preached is more than a shocking story. It's a harsh reminder of how power can be abused, how manipulation can destroy lives, and how healing begins when truth is finally spoken. The book explores trauma, guilt, redemption, and the courage it takes to break free from toxic control. If this story teaches us anything, it's that sometimes the people wearing the brightest halos can hide the darkest shadows.